everybody, it's your friendly neighborhood hanger hobbit here with a subscriber request from Asif Talpur, who needed to know how to fly the 190A1. Now this is probably the only really decent defensive flying shot that I got on this, so I'm going to put a link in the description below to Adam 514's video, because he is so much better at this defensive flying than me. I am just not your defensive flying kind of guy. But since with the 190s everybody thinks about the great roll rate and the whole defensive flying thing, I thought I would at least put one video in here showing basically how you need to do that trick. But honestly, I'm more the best defense is a good offense kind of guy. But here's how you do it, Asif. Notice I got 3 guys up there. What I do is I keep my camera to the butt and I use that roll rate to make sure that every time one of them goes left, I'm going right. What I'm doing is using that superior roll rate to make sure that they can't get guns on for more than a half a second before I'm flipping this sucker a different direction. As you notice, he nearly blacks out a couple of times, and this is with a maxed out crew, so you definitely don't want to put this bird in a crew that you don't have really good. But like I said, I'm not your defensive flying kind of guy. I'm more best defense is a good offense, you know what I mean? So the way I look at it is, if you're at that point where you really need the roll rate, you probably done made a boo-boo, and you should look at what you did to get yourself in that situation in the first place. But in this one, I've been tracking this dot for quite a while, and oh man, I'm sorry, Squire. I know how much you love the wellies, but I done tracked this thing for nearly 5 minutes. I didn't know it was a wellie. I seriously didn't. Oh well. Poor little wellie. In real life, those things were famous for how tough they were. In this game, no. They're flying cans of gasoline. Poor little wellie. Use the MGs to make sure that fire sets, and bye-bye. Thank you. Sorry about that, buddy. Ooh, got me a couple of dots down low, though. I'd be kind of rude if I didn't go down and say hi, don't you think? This has been one of them matches where the majority of the time the enemy has killed themselves more than we have. Been seeing a lot of them slamming it into the ground. A Spitfire is a ground pounder. Really? You have one of the best high altitude fighters and you're using it to kill AAA. And people wonder why the Allies suck. Well, let me put you out your misery there, buddy. Say goodbye to that wing. Don't you just hate when they do that? Talk about a waste. That plane handles so good at altitude, and this is a cold map. Good Lord, he could have been in space. Uh-oh. IL-2, you know what that means. He's going to try for a head-on, because, Ivan's tough. Word of advice, don't ever take head-ons in this thing. This is one thing they've got modeled completely wrong in this. Let me flip this sucker on around. Come here, buddy. That's it. This thing's got surprising good turn. Them takeoff flaps, you can put them things out up to nearly 500 kilometers. Thank you, I appreciate. But in real life, this thing with that radial engine could take some abuse. Not in this game. This thing is as fragile as a 109 when it comes to head-ons. So don't take head-ons in this thing unless you're just stuck in a corner and that's all you got left. Well, that was the last guy. Let's see how we did here. Oh, don't you just love these cold maps, though? You can really wind them suckers up and not have to worry about the motor cooking. Ooh, I'll take that. 3 kills? Heck yeah. Now, here's you another chance to see a bit about defensive flying, because this little Spitfire here jumped me in the clouds while I was trying to get up in my climb, so I'm at low speed, low energy, and believe me, with this bird, You get it below 400 kilometers an hour, it starts to handle like a pig. But look at this. Despite the Spitfire being a lot more agile than me, he can't get his guns on, because with that roll rate, I can just keep whipping that sucker around, and he can't get that nose where he needs to. But the catch is, neither can I. Look at my circle and look at where the crosshair is. Yeah. Below 400 kilometers an hour, this thing handles worse than IL-2. Best thing you can do, drop the nose. And as you can see, one of my buddies who's at speed can handle Mr. Spitfire. And oh, good Lord, would you look at the mess that we have over here. This is one of them matches, boys and girls. Look at that. We've got maybe 4, tops 5 guys left, and the whole team swarming. Oh well, you take what you can get. Hi there, Mr. VG. Maybe you and me gonna talk. Oh, SB's gonna try to be Trollolo with all them freaking gun pods. Yeah, guess what, buddy? I got more energy than you do. That little trick's not gonna work. Just drop that nose and say hello. And he's a douchebag who jays out the second somebody gets guns on. Don't you love those kind of little pieces of garbage? I've been seeing that so much lately. Now, where in the heck did that VG go? Oh, there he is. Ooh, but there's a Lala. And frankly, he's more dangerous. Come here, Lala. You come here now. That's the best I'm going to get on him right now, because I can't afford to get too slow with this thing, not with this many guys down here. I got players in trouble. I have not got much backup. I got to make some moves, get this thing working. Oh, and that's one thing you're going to really find frustrating with this plane. MGFFMs are not MG151s. Oh, but there went the Lala. Oh, good Lord, look behind me. Another advantage to this plane, though, speed. Look at this. I got half the bloody team chasing me. Just keep that nose straight and let her run. So many players make the mistake of doing these wild moves to throw off people's aim. All it takes is just little bitty. You'll notice I'm just barely up, barely down. At that kind of distance, you don't need to do wild wibble wobbles. Oh, and say hello to my little auto squad buddy. Man, me and him worked so good together this match. Thank you there, buddy. I appreciate it. Yeah, I have to say, this little sucker, he saved my bacon. He got that one off my 6 so I could turn around and re-engage. And that made all the difference. Oh, whoops, excuse me. Low bridge. Come here. Now see, it looked like I was going to take a head-on. No. Fake head-ons are good in this thing. Real head-ons, yeah, not so much. Main thing you want to do when you're in one of these kind of situations is try to make sure that even if you can't get guns on, bleed as much energy off of that enemy as you can so your team has a chance to get in there and re-engage. See, I had so many of them chasing me. They didn't pay attention to the rear. Guess what happened? We turned that around pretty dang quick, didn't we? Gotta love matches like that. See, if that SB wouldn't have been a punk, who knows? He might have been able to get me with those rear gunners. He might have got backed up by one of his teammates. He might have got some more points. Oh well. Uh-oh, looks like my little buddy's in trouble. Hang on, little buddy. I'm a-coming. Just hold on for a few more seconds. Mr. 190's on the way. Heck, it's only fair he saved me. I gotta try to save him. Fair's fair, you know what I mean? Always try to back up your buddies. Come on. Come on. There we go. That's one thing that is so nice about this. You got so many MGs on this thing. Yeah, you really don't need to care too much. Don't think of the cannons as your main guns. Think of the cannons as your short shot. If I've got a really good one, then take it. The MGs need to be your main guns. You got 3,000 rounds in that sucker. Use them. I've got stealth on those. Oh, let's see what we got. Hey, second place. I'll take that. Anyway, for those that wonder such things, 400 meter convergence, stealth on the MGs, and air targets on the MG FFMs. Ooh, this thing don't pay too bad. Not for a tier 2. I gotta give it credit. Yeah, not bad at all. Anyway, when it comes to these MG FFMs, yeah, you're gonna find out that they definitely are not the 151s. I have found more sparks with these than I have with any time flying 151s. It's just something you're going to have to deal with. Now, let me tell you a little bit about this bird. This bird was basically Kurt Tank, the famous airplane designer, giving the old bird to Willie Messerschmitt. You see, the Luftwaffe was having serious issues cranking out enough of those DB engines that they were using in the 109s, and basically asked everybody, can you give us something with a radio? Because we got a ton of those. And Willie Messerschmitt told them, yeah, you're not going to be able to build anything worth a crap with a radial engine. It'll slow the plane down too much, and it'll basically be a flying pile of junk. Kurt Tank said, oh, really? Challenge accepted. And good Lord, did that man rise to the challenge. They ended up cranking out over 20,000 of these things, and they ended up flying till 1949, which was longer than the 109s flew. So, yeah, I'd say he pretty much beat that challenge. And with this BMW 801, this thing could lift more than the freaking 109. So it was not only good as a fighter, they used it as a fighter bomber, as a ground striker, as a bomber hunter, and even as a night fighter. So versatile this bird definitely was. Now this particular model has the BMW 801C, which cranks out over 1,500 horsepower on takeoff. Comes with 4 of the MG-17s with a crap ton of ammo, and the MG FFMs, which, as I said, I really wish it was the 151s, but oh well, you take what you can get. This particular model got its baptism of fire in the Battle of Britain, where it faced off against the Spitfire Mark Vs, and they found that this thing could pretty much kick the Spitfire's booty in everything but turn. Yeah, Brits weren't too happy when they found this sucker. Brits ended up having to counter with the famous Spitfire Mark 9s, which anybody who's flown those in the game knows those are little monsters. But they basically had to come up with the Mark 9 as a stopgap just to deal with this bird. Yeah. Definitely was a real friggin' monster. And this thing ate up on the Eastern Front. Facing off against all them low flyers like the Lalas and the early Yaks. Yeah, it was a happy time for German pilots. And honestly, flying this one in the game, I can see why. As long as you keep this thing up to speed, man, has she got some freaking handling. But that's the catch. You gotta keep this thing wound up hot. Ooh, I see dots down there. Let's go and say hi. Martlet. If anybody's seen my Ace video on that, that's a deadly little sucker, so I'm definitely going to give that plane a little respect. You definitely don't want one of those on your 6. Ooh, got 2 more dots down here. And I got to give this little Martlet pilot credit. He was pretty dang good. He definitely had his situational awareness. I thought he was going to be an easy snack, but nope. Nope. He was actually pretty dang good as a pilot, so hats off to you, dude. I so love me a nice little duel. See, he's doing everything right. The second that he sees I'm not going to be chasing him down, he's leveling out, he's building back up his speed. Slowly raising that nose, but not trying to do a zoom climb, because then he'd stall out and he'd be all mine. Smart flying, dude. Oh, but you come here now. Just because you're a good pilot don't mean I'm not going to shoot you in the booty. Come here. Yep. Got a few hits. Yeah, it would be better off if I used the universals, but I found the problem is with this many shells, the second you fire off them universals, they're going to panic and they're going to pull. So, even though the universals is the better belt, it's better off to use the stealths. It doesn't quite do the damage that the universals does, but at least it doesn't cause your target to panic. And I'm sorry if the sound's a bit off here. Ever since that latest patch came down about a week ago, I've been having issues with Relive. I don't know if it's a Windows issue. I don't know if it's freaking patch issue. But in long videos, trying to get the sound perfectly synced has been a royal pain in the booty. There we go. Oh. And I got somebody on my tail. Here's where that roll rate comes in handy. Oh, bring it right back up into vertical. Don't want to waste that energy. Come on. Oh, took me a little bit in the snoot. See what I mean? Even the little MGs on them Spitfires is enough to freaking cause this thing to start leaking. Ooh, my team's not doing too awful great either. Here's where you need to watch around, keep an eye out for your teammates, and don't be afraid to bait. Because right now, that Spitfire can't catch me, even with this oil leak. So all I gotta do is keep him focused on me and see what's sneaking up on him. So I'm being careful not to wiggle, not to dodge, because that might throw off my buddy's aim. Thank you there, pal. I appreciate that. Gotta tell him hi and thanks. My butt's gotta get this baby back down on the ground. This thing don't tolerate damage like it should. This thing basically should be the Germans' version of the Thunderbolt. Everything I found researching this bird said this thing could take abuse like you would not believe. This thing was tough. That's why radial engines were used so much by the Americans in the war, because they could seriously take the abuse. Gaijin, why is this one not able to take the abuse? That doesn't make any sense. That was the whole point of radials. Radials were tough. Radials could take serious damage. From what I read, they had frickin' 190s coming back with half of their frickin' cylinders full of holes, and they still landed them just fine. Still had no problem bringing them back 150 miles from the front. So this right here, it don't make no sense. This is not a 109. It should not be frickin' getting abused like a 109. Seriously, Gaijin. Come on now, we want some realism. Well, at least when it comes to the planes, we've done accepted you're never going to get realism when it comes to freaking matches. That's why I say you really need to put the older air maps back in rotation. Because, good Lord, do you know how many times I've been flying with the Japanese on Stalingrad? Yeah, show me where in the history books that they were going for the Emperor on the Eastern Front. Kind of dang comical seeing a whole bunch of friggin' A6M2s over Stalingrad. But hey, you take what you can get, and it is kind of funny. Seeing all them suckers going for the Emperor right over the Eastern Front is kind of cute. Oh well. Now I'm going to be a bit ranty here, but I've got to say this. Gaijin, when are you going to give us the G series? Seriously, man. They made over 1,300 of the G series, and we don't have a single one in the freaking game. That ain't right. That's really not right. Especially the freaking G8s. Oh, yes. Or the G3s. Give me the 190 G3 R5. Oh, yes. For those that don't know about that one, it had a couple of gun pods on it. It ended up with 6, count them, 6 MG151s. Ooh, yes. Oh, yes. You know how much fun 6 MG151s would be on one of these suckers? Hell yes. That would be a great one to counter the narvals. Oh, man, that would just be so fun. And it was made for high altitude performance because it was a bomber hunter. Oh, yes. Come on, Gaijin. 1,300 of them were made. Why is there not a single G series in the freaking game? You go from F straight to the 152. Good Lord. Uh-oh. Here's where that roll rate's going to come in handy, because guess what? I'm at low speed and low energy. But nope, not going to happen. All I'm doing is watching his shots. And guess what? He ripped the wing. Yep. I ought to get credit for that one. Seriously. Good maneuver kill. See, that freaking roll rate can save your butt, but only when you make a boo-boo. Try not to make the boo-boo in the first place. But, as I was saying, they had so many of the G series. There's like 7 different G series variants. They had bubble canopies, so they'd be great for the sim pilots. They had all these different combinations of bombs and rockets and gun pods. Man, it would be a freaking blast and a half. Everybody keeps saying, oh, now they're going to have to go to 80s jets. I mean, they got nothing left. Bull crap. That's complete and total bull crap. You look at the history of these birds, and there's a ton of them that there's whole giant sections just missing. Planes that don't even have a single variant in here. And that ain't even counting the weird prototypes and stuff that would be great from World War II. I mean, where's the flying flapjack? I want the flying flapjack so freaking bad. I mean, good Lord, that was a plane that could literally take off like a freaking UFO. Hell yeah, that would be so damn fun to have in the game. There's all the G series. There was at least half a dozen 109s that's not been put in. There's all kinds of variants. And yep, I'm looking for a freaking blind hunt, because guess what? Whoever this sucker is, nobody's seen him in 3 forevers, and I'm figuring he's probably going to end up running to a corner of the map. Don't you just love when they do that? Sad part is, if whoever this guy was would have been backing up his little buddy right there, he probably could have schnockered me quite easily. So since it's probably going to take a few minutes till somebody on my team figures out we're going to have to blind hunt this sucker, let me go ahead, edit the video a bit, and get to the point where we finally find this little turkey. Be back in just a second. I gotta at least give this cry credit. He didn't run to the corner of the maps like I figured he would. Now my poor little 205 buddy's in the same situation I was earlier with that P-38. He's just taking off the runway. He's at low speed, low altitude, no energy. Yeah, he's not in a good way. Don't worry, little Italian buddy. I'll come back you up. Just hang on. One thing you're going to find is you definitely need to do a little side climbing with this, because 14 meters per second, yeah, it's not the greatest climber. But that's okay, because once you get this thing a little altitude, all you got to do is drop that nose and she will definitely do the work. Oh, yes. Yes, when these guns work, oh boy, do they work. Definitely kick some booty. Thank you, I appreciate. And that was the last guy. That's one thing you're going to find with this, because you do have to side climb. You're not going to be getting a lot of 5-kill matches in this. Not unless your entire team just stinks on ice. Because you really need to take your time and set this baby up to get it in a good position. Yeah. So think of this more as a support fighter. Don't think of this like you would your 109s. Nah, this is more of a backup plane. But as you saw, the defensive flying works. I'm just not the greatest at it. I'm not the kind of guy you want to call out to teach you defensive flying. So, what do I think about this bird? She's fun. Personally, I prefer the 109s because they're a little better on the energy handling, but she's fun. Well, be sure to like and share, and I hope to see you up there in the clouds. Have a good one, y'all.